Happy days are here again, people, because it's time for another 2 parts of Build Your Own R2D2. Parts 29 and 30, featuring hopefully finishing off the projector, which I'm excited about, and part 30, which involves this weird lump of metal. I have no idea what that is, but guess we're soon going to find out. Saw someone commenting on a World of Wayne video telling him that something really exciting was coming in part 30, and I thought it was going to be the dome, and I was very excited, but then I looked and found that, and I was not very excited. But regardless, let's do this. Okay, this is quite scary because it involves more very delicate lenses, and it involves something I have no idea what they're trying to tell me just yet, but I will read through these instructions and then I'll know. Hopefully. There's quite a lot to do by the looks of things, but they might have just broken it down when it's extremely simple. DeAgostini are known to do that. So let me have a look through this and let's get started. Okay, this is where it gets quite scary, because you have 3 lenses that you need to work with. Small one, medium-sized one, and a daddy lens, I mean the biggest one. The thing is, it says, it starts by warning you, be very careful not to get finger marks on the lens itself. And yet, it says, push the lens into the bottom. With what? My sock? I'm not quite sure how they expect you to push it in with anything but a finger. The hole is rather unfortunately conveniently finger shaped. Let's see what happens. I'm going to drop this one into the bottom and hope it doesn't fall out the end. Let me try and do that now. This has been nerve jangling. Doesn't help that I'm half asleep, but that is the smallest one down the bottom, which is hopefully the right way around. Doesn't the world look strange? And the biggest one you need to put so that the flat side is facing the screen. So next is pay more attention, Stephen, to what the instructions are telling you, because this third lens needs to go so that it's facing the biggest lens. So you'll be putting it in that last slot right there that you can see. Oh, there we go, much better view. I'm slightly concerned though, because it says take the remaining lens and fit into this slot in the lens holder with its convex side facing the lens from step 4. Well, step 4 is the first lens. That is showing you facing it, the second lens. How do we know it's going to be facing that one, which is clearly step 4? No matter. I want to put this into there. Let's do that. Okay, I can't believe I'm actually building a projector. This is surreal. But that's what it should look like when it's finished. Glass at the front there. 2 lenses that are facing each other. It's all about refracting light and all kind of sciencey stuff. So let's see what is over the page. Okay. Next stage is slot this lovely little LED into the middle slot. I guess they're saying it's the only slot, but it looks like the middle one to me. So we stick that down there like so, with the wire on the top, and the LED facing the 2 lenses. Oh, it's getting to that stage I can barely talk. But hey, I'm still having fun. Okay, so that's the lights, that wire sticking up. Looking quite delicate there. So let's see what's next. Okay, I do apologise for this, but this bit, the little roof, you need to bend these wires backwards so that they come out the back there, through that little dip that you can see in the metal. And then this clips into place with the 4 clips around the edges. And I've tried to get it up again, but I don't fancy my chances without something going wrong. So I do apologise, I'm a very, very bad demonstrator. But that is what happens. You just put it on top and it will clip into place. And the big bit that you can see right there, well, it should be hanging over the projector screen. So the only thing left to do, apparently, is put the scary bit onto the end there and screw it into place like so. I'm going to line this up properly and then I'm going to see what I can do. Here's a handy tip you may find useful. To get this lens to stay in and not keep falling out the end, which mine was doing, I have solved the problem by using my lovely R2D2 pen and using this, the end of it, which is fortunately made of rubber, or seems to be rubber, and poking the lens so that it clicks, and as you can see, that lens is in there and gravity doesn't lie, it would come out again, but it needs to click both sides, not just one side, or else you will be in trouble. It's so delicate. So that's the end of the lens, and now I'm going to put it on to the end of its little box and screw it into place. Okay, let us hope that this never has to come out again, because I may have cross-threaded that slightly. It's all looking very 1920s style photography right now. The final thing left to do is test this out. Sometimes, people, great trauma and me mumbling and slurring my words is all worth it, because look at the end result. No, not the white light. It's Luke himself, and he's speaking to you. This is in Jabba's palace, of course, where he presents R2D2, these two droids. Yeah. And press both together, and I haven't seen this yet, you should get Princess Leia. No, that's not happened. Okay. I'm still getting Luke. There's Luke. And guess what else? That was only one part. It's time to get going on part 30. Okay. Well, I'll see what happens. Anyway, let's do the next part. No time to get too depressed about the fact that I've only got one character protection, because it's straight on to part 30, where we will be installing the motor for one of the legs and the wiring. And this is another scary episode, because there's all you have to do in the first page, and then you put your sensor in, that's not too bad, but then you've got to do even more wiring, and I'm guessing feeding through the wires, etc, etc. Can you tell I'm slightly tired? That's because I am tired. I'm going to bed soon, but before that I must do this and see what happens, because in 31 that's when you finally see the foot on. Or is it a hand? No, it's a foot, obviously. So let's have a go and see what we can do here. They even supply the cable ties. Okay, it's time to play Hunt the Long Lost Parts, because all you actually get with part 30 is the motor itself, which is making me start to think this table is going to represent a spare part shop. It looks nice and oily. And the cable ties, which is fine, but now I've got to fish around on my table of stuff and find parts from a very long time ago. The ribbon cable that came in part 17, and also the sensor, which was in part 20. I think I can see some coloured ribbons looking at me right now, so I'll bring those over and let's get this in. I love screwing the big things together. So that is all done. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is extremely heavy. This wheel nut only turns very stiffly because it's now controlled by the motor, I am guessing. That's only the first page. I now have to connect up the cable, which is this one. A lovely rainbow-like cable into this. I bet I've got it up the wrong way. Obviously, I knew that. Perfect fit. There we go. And now it would be a good idea to open up this. Oh, my little pieces come out. Why don't you just put things up a sensible way in the first place? Anyway, now it's time to thread this. Alright, brakes give me a headache. You may notice a slight change in framing and positioning, etc. in this scene. And that's because it's been about a week, or almost a week, since I made the last video. I had to get through a week of work, and now I'm back on it. But that has meant that I'm slightly confused as to where I was. And the other reason for that is because I ran out of space on my SD card. So, sorry about this, but I'm going to try and do a quick recap of where I'm up to. I've I've screwed the big lump of metal in there to where the wheel is, and it still turns. There's the motor, and there's the end of the motor going round. That's quite cool. I've plugged the multicoloured ribbon cable. I don't know why I'm calling it a ribbon cable. This is nothing like a ribbon cable, because I know what those are like, because I used to use those inside my PCs. Let's call it a multicoloured cable. That has to be fed through and down the leg, through this little plastic bit there. And this is the cable that you got, I think, in part 20. That has to go down the leg, obviously. And this other wire, which you, I think, also got in part 20, you have to find the bigger end, which is that end, obviously, and you feed that in the same direction. So let's go and see what we can do. You also have to clip these wires into place with the cable ties, which I'm pleased to say they have provided. I think I can see where they're going. They're going in those little holes there. So we're going to secure those and secure these wires. And then I'm going to see where we're at. So let me go and do that now. Alright, this bit is apparently very critical. You have to make sure there's 13.5 centimeters from the end of the cable tie to the plug. Sorry about my bad framing there. I'm not exactly sure why that is so important, but I guess we'll find out. And I'm also not sure I'm going to be repeating this in the other leg. So, for all you measurement geeks there, remember it has to be 13.5. Right there. Into the corner of my picture. Okay, there we can see it's all clipped in place. Hopefully this works. Hopefully this isn't too precise, because I work in terms of fun, not in terms of preciseness. So I'm going to clip all these little bits off now, because I'm fairly sure that wouldn't be a good idea leaving those on there. Magic. Look at that. So next is finding this sensor, which was supplied with part 20 all those parts ago, and this is going into the outer leg part, which you can see a nice little dip for it there. It will poke through the hole and form, hopefully, an almost invisible sensor. I think it will be, actually. So let's go do that. In technical terms, stick the bit into the other bit. Fits quite nice. Well, it didn't fit nice when I had it right. Oh, it clicks. Always nice to have a click. There we go. Looks nice. I would assume that's how it looks in the film. And then we stick that bit through there. There you go. And next up is feeding the cables through that hole there. Chuck everything out through the hole. It's all getting very technical now, isn't it? Got to make sure these two bits don't fall out, which they will do if I turn it over that way. So I'm going to guess over the page is them telling me to screw this onto the top there, which would be quite exciting. So let me go have a look. Okay, here goes everyone. I've hopefully encased everything properly. All the wires are coming out. That bit is still in place. These bits are still in place, which is slightly awkward to maintain, but it's all pressed in nicely. So hopefully when I screw this in, it's all going to come good. So I've got to screw all these now and see what happens. Let's do that. Important rewind, people. Before you screw it in, you need, number one, to get this piece all the way up that piece, which definitely feels like it's locking it into place, ready to be screwed. So it has to come all the way up that bit, which is quite tricky, but not that tricky. So that's made it feel a lot tougher so far. Then you need to put the other little bits on, which is this bit has to go that side, obviously not just slammed on like that, and this bit, the ankle piece, has to go on the bottom. You've got the two pins there, and they will be going into there. So let me ensure that I've got the right screws, and then I will screw this all into place. I will get back to you. Wrong side. This bit goes that side. Oh, Stephen, you're such a genius at building stuff. Pops really nicely into place. I was wondering why it wasn't going over the other side. I was trying to heave it over there and thinking maybe I have to widen it and it'll pop over the circle. But no, it is this side. It makes so much sense now. There we go. Click, click, click. That is one hell of a bulky piece of leg. So let's go and screw this into place. Plus that bit down there. With this bit on. Which goes... I'll find out which side and I'll show you. And by the way, before I begin, I've decided that these are the right 6mm screws and not these beasts here, because they're black in the diagram. So I'm going to use these massive screws there. Let's do this. Solid. All screwed into place and feeling very heavy. That's quite exhausting, driving all those screws through. But there is another slight complication, because you have to go and find this piece together with another two pieces which I've not found just yet. You have to put those at the sides there. I'll show you those in a minute. And then you have to put that into the other side. That side does go there, and you have to secure it with a screw in that hole there. So let me find these other pieces, and then I will fix that bit. Sorry, onto there. I knew that. Okay, had to have a little break because this is quite exhausting. Just it's one part. I finally found these two bits, which were from stage 14. Remember that? I think I just had to make these and that was it. Or just these two and one other thing. Alright people, this I swear is going to be the last part. Or at least the first of a series of last parts. Because I'm slightly the worse for wear now. First my SD card was full up again, and then my battery almost died, so I had to wait for that to charge. I'm now a lot more tired than when I first started filming tonight. So before I lose the ability to speak or think, let me show you what is happening next. You're taking this piece, which is going on the foot, and I finally found these bits after lots of searching, so I'm very relieved about that. These are going into the sides, like so. You just snap them in, and look, the leg has mysteriously appeared. How did that happen? Anyway, I like how they snap into place there like that. I'm not sure what that little cutout bit there. It looks like how they mark out people for surgery on the side there. So that's that bit, which needs to go now onto the foot and get screwed in. If only you knew what had happened between the previous shot and this one. About 3 days has gone by. This has caused me grief and emotional trauma, but that's what the long hard journey is all about. I've finally finished this leg, well almost. I've got the casing to put on the foot obviously, which is the next part, but what it doesn't tell you, and I have checked anywhere here, when you put that first wire in, you need to make sure it's long enough, because this bit here was crushing the wires. So I spent 2 days being traumatized, thinking I've wrecked a £900 model. And I'm going back through this magazine so that you can see that nowhere does it say, oh, by the way, make sure you pull this bit out long enough, because it will be crushed if you don't. I know it says about this bit, measure that bit, yeah, that's fine, but maybe tell people about this bit as well, because that is critical. So, poor instructions from DeAgostini there on that one for sure. But, lesson learned for when I come to make the other leg. Now I'll know. There's something rattling in here. Maybe one of my screws. Soon find out. Anyway, I could not get this piece apart because that screw was just... I've completely worn that screw away now, so that is never ever coming out again, sadly. But I eventually managed to pull this wire through the front to give it enough slack so that it would avoid the final piece coming down there. That is part 30 complete, after no small amount of trauma. Okay. That being said, I will see you in the next video.